Okay, so you finally did it. You bought that Phuket villa.
Oh, those turquoise waters, those beaches.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah.
But then maybe reality sets in a little.
Just a tad.
How do you even begin to manage a property that's so far away? Especially somewhere like Phuket.
Right.
That's what we're diving into today.
With some help.
Yeah, a guide from the experts at Ocean Worldwide Phuket Real Estate. They seem to know what they're talking about.
They really do, and they make one thing super clear right away. Managing a Phuket property, especially from afar, not a do-it-yourself project.
I can see how it would be tempting.
Oh, totally. I can handle this. I'll just figure it out.
Right. How hard can it be?
Exactly. But seriously, having a good property management team actually on the ground in Phuket, that's crucial. They know the place inside and out.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So give me an example. What's something they'd handle that I might not even think of?
Okay, imagine this. It's monsoon season, right? A gutter on your villa gets clogged.
Okay, bad, but not the end of the world.
Right, except a regular property manager, they might miss it. Then you have water damage, repairs.
A huge bill.
Your Phuket expert, though, they know it's monsoon season. They're checking those gutters before they cause a problem.
So it's really about finding a company that doesn't just manage properties, but they really get the specifics of Phuket.
100%. And the guide even has some tips on finding the right team. One thing they suggest, don't just settle for the most basic package, like, we'll manage your rentals.
There's more to it.
Oh, yeah. Look for companies offering a whole suite of services.
Like what? Give me the deluxe treatment.
Okay, so think maintenance, repairs, even down to handling all the communication with your guests.
Okay, so I don't have to be fielding questions about the Wi-Fi password at 3 a.m. my time.
Exactly. Some even stock the fridge before guests arrive.
Yeah.
Imagine a pipe bursts in your villa.
Oh no, middle of the night my time.
Your property manager handles it quietly. You wake up to a message, all taken care of.
Now that's what I'm talking about. But how do you even know if a company is actually as good as they claim to be?
That's where you got to do your homework. Don't just take their word for it. Dig into those reviews, the testimonials. Look for the details.
Okay, like what kinds of details?
Things like how quickly they respond to issues, guests mentioning high standards of cleanliness, or even better, stories about how the team went above and beyond.
It's always those little extras that really stand out. Okay, so we've found our A-team of property managers. What's next on the checklist for making this whole villa ownership thing feel, effortless?
Well, the guide calls the next part the legal labyrinth.
Uh-oh, that sounds a little intimidating.
It's really just about understanding how things work in Phuket, because it's not always the same as back home.
So Phuket has its own set of rules and regulations.
Exactly. Zoning laws, building codes, you name it. Working with local professionals who really understand these rules, it's like having a secret weapon.
Can you give me an example?
Sure, there are actually rules about how close you can build to the ocean. Imagine you find what you think is your dream villa, put in an offer, and then...
It doesn't meet the zoning requirement.
Exactly. A local legal expert, they're like your guide through the Phuket property maze. They'll help you avoid those pitfalls.
So it's not just about finding any lawyer or architect. It's about finding ones who really specialize in Phuket real estate.
Precisely. And speaking of avoiding headaches, the guide also talks a lot about contracts. It seems obvious, but it's so important.
Contracts for everything?
Pretty much. Rental agreements with any vendors you're using.
Okay, I get it.
It's about protection. If something goes wrong, you want everything clearly laid out, legally sound.
It's like your villa's safety net.
Exactly.
And of course, we can't forget about taxes.
Yes, taxes. They're everywhere. And yes, Thailand's tax rates, they might be lower than some places, but that doesn't mean you can just ignore them.
Definitely not. So how does the guide recommend handling that whole side of things?
They actually go into quite a bit of detail. They explain how to structure your rental income and expenses to stay on the right side of the law, and they even mention some tax deductions that are specific to property owners in Thailand.
Oh, that's super helpful. I wouldn't want to accidentally miss out on something like that. Nobody wants a surprise tax bill.
Exactly. And that's another area where those local experts are worth their weight in gold.
So having a good team really is the key takeaway here. They're the ones who can navigate all this, even when you're miles away.
100%. But speaking of managing things from afar...
Technology to the rescue. Tell me more.
Yeah, technology is key here. And remember those spreadsheets we were talking about? This guide says dig 'em.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of like a good spreadsheet.
They have their place. But for managing a villa, especially from afar, online booking systems and property management software are where it's at.
Okay, so like those platforms that handle bookings and stuff.
Exactly. But it's more than that. It's like having a personal assistant who's always working, making sure everything runs smoothly, bookings, payments, guest questions, even maintenance requests.
Sounds amazing in theory, but I have to admit, I'm not the most tech-savvy person.
Right.
Are these tools actually user-friendly?
That's the thing, they really are. They're designed with people like us, in mind property owners, not tech geniuses. A lot of them are surprisingly intuitive to use.
Okay, that's good to know. So paint me a picture. What does this actually look like in action? What am I doing? What's the software doing?
Let's say you get a new booking. The software automatically sends them a confirmation email, maybe even a little welcome message. No work on your part.
Nice. What about the payment?
Handled seamlessly. Guests can usually pay securely right through the platform, and on your end, you can track everything, see when payments are due, when they've cleared.
Okay, that's handy. And you said it could even handle maintenance requests.
Yeah, some of them have a system where guests can submit requests directly through our app or website. Then it notifies you, and you can even use the software to schedule local vendors, track the progress of repairs, that kind of thing.
That is pretty slick. It's amazing how much technology can simplify even the most tedious tasks.
It really is. So we've got our legal ducks in a row, we've got our A-team assembled, and now we're tech-powered. What else could go wrong?
Well, I hate to be the one to bring it up, but security. I mean, my villa's a world away. It's hard not to worry a little bit, right?
I get it. Totally normal to feel that way. But here's the good news. Technology to the rescue again.
Really? How so?
We're talking remote security systems. Like, you can literally keep an eye on your property from anywhere in the world these days.
Okay, so we're talking security cameras and things like that.
Cameras, motion sensors, even smart locks that you can control from your phone.
Wait, seriously. So even if I'm on a beach in Bali, I can see who's at my front door in Phuket.
Exactly. You get an alert, check the camera feed. It's like having peace of mind delivered straight to you.
That's incredible. So it's not just about seeing what's happening. It's also about feeling more secure and in control, even from a distance.
Exactly. And it's not just about security either. This tech can actually help you stay ahead of potential maintenance issues too.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, let's say a pipe starts leaking in your villa. A moisture sensor can detect that and send you an alert immediately.
Before it turns into a major flood and ruins everything.
Exactly. Or what if the power goes out? You'd get an alert for that too. Then you can have someone check it out right away, maybe save the contents of your fridge.
Okay, that is incredibly smart. It's like having a sixth sense that tells you when something's not right, even when you're thousands of miles away.
Huh.
So we've gone high-tech with security. We can prevent disasters before they happen. It's really starting to feel effortless.
I know, right? But even with all this amazing technology, the guide still stresses one crucial thing.
What's that?
Don't forget the human touch. Technology is amazing, but it can't replace the value of human intuition and local knowledge.
So it's still important to build relationships with people on the ground, even if you have all these fancy gadgets.
Exactly. You need that network of trusted local contacts. Your cleaners, gardeners, your go-to plumber.
Your Phuket A-team.
Yes. They know your property, they know the area, and they can often spot potential issues before they even become problems.
Because they're familiar with the rhythm of things in Phuket.
Exactly. They're your eyes and ears on the ground. So we've got the property manager, legal stuff sorted, our tech setup is top-notch, and our local network is solid. What's next on our effortless villa journey?
Time to welcome some guests. We've got to make sure they have an amazing experience, right? After all, happy guests leave good reviews.
You got it. And good reviews mean more bookings, which means a successful investment for you.
Exactly. So how do we make sure our villa is the kind of place that gets those rave reviews? Where do we even start?
Well, the guide actually has a whole section on maximizing your rental income, and it all starts with pricing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do you find that sweet spot? The price that's attractive to guests, but also make sure you're not losing money.
It's a bit of a balancing act for sure. The guide suggests doing your research, looking at comparable villas in the area, and considering factors like location, size, amenities.
And those gorgeous ocean views.
Of course. And don't forget seasonality.
Right. Prices probably go up during peak season.
Exactly. And you might offer discounts or promotions during the off-season to keep those bookings coming.
So you're saying be strategic and flexible with your pricing.
You got it. If you're constantly booked, you can probably increase your rates a bit. But if you're in a lull, a well-timed discount can really help.
Makes sense. It's all about finding that balance,
Yeah.
maximizing income, but also making sure you have enough guests to make it worth it.
Exactly. And that's where those online booking platforms come in.
Airbnb, VRBO, all those. They're like the new travel agents these days.
Exactly. And the key is to make your listing stand out.
Okay, how do we do that?
Remember what we talked about before, those amazing
Oh,
photos.
right. Professional ones, not just blurry iPhone shots.
Exactly. You want photos that make people want to jump right into the picture. And then your description, it needs to be compelling, highlighting everything that makes your villa special.
Like your private infinity pool overlooking the ocean?
Precisely. Sell the dream. And don't forget those glowing guest reviews. Social proof is so powerful.
It's like creating a mini marketing campaign for your villa. Okay, what else?
Make sure your listing is easy to find, use keywords, highlight local attractions, and when people land on your page, make booking a breeze.
So multiple payment options, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. The easier it is to book, the more likely people are to do it.
Makes sense. Now, once we've hooked those guests, how do we make sure they leave those coveted 5-star reviews?
The holy grail of villa rentals. Well, obviously, providing an exceptional experience is key. But the guide also recommends making it super easy for guests to actually leave those reviews.
Okay, how do we do that?
You can send them a direct link to your Airbnb or TripAdvisor page after their stay, maybe with a little thank you message.
Mhm.
Or how about a cute little card in the villa with instructions on how to leave a review?
Oh, that's a nice touch. Shows you really care about their feedback.
Exactly. And speaking of feedback, what about the not-so-good reviews? Those are bound to happen eventually, right?
I hate to think about it, but yeah, you can't please everyone all the time. So how do we deal with those gracefully?
Don't ignore them. And whatever you do, don't get defensive. Address them head on, but professionally.
Like, thanks for the feedback. We'll look into it.
Exactly. Acknowledge their experience, apologize for any inconvenience, and if possible, highlight the steps you're taking to address the issue.
So even negative reviews can be a chance to show potential guests that you're listening and constantly striving to improve.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that can really make your villa stand out. Exceptional guest services.
I love that because at the end of the day, it's about creating an experience,
Yeah.
right? Something that makes people want to come back for more, tell all their friends about it.
You nailed it. And the guide really stresses those small, thoughtful touches that make guests feel welcome and valued.
I love that. What are some examples? Give me the VIP treatment.
Okay, picture this. Your guests arrive at your villa after a long journey. Maybe they're a little jet lagged, a little tired. They open the door, and waiting for them is this beautiful welcome basket.
I'm listening.
Inside, some local treats, a bottle of wine, maybe even a handwritten note from you welcoming them to your little slice of paradise.
Okay, that's pretty adorable. Who wouldn't love that?
Right. Or how about this? You arrange for a private chef to cook them an amazing, authentic Thai dinner on their first night.
Now you're talking. Talk about a warm welcome. It's like you're saying, come on in, relax, we've got this.
Yeah, exactly. These little touches make people feel special, like they're walking into a friend's home, not just some rental property.
It's all about going the extra mile. Does the guide have any other suggestions along those lines?
Let's see, what about providing a local cell phone for your guests to use? Preload it with useful numbers like taxi companies, your property manager, maybe some recommended restaurants.
Oh, that's so smart. Especially in a place where you might not always have reliable Wi-Fi. Or what about stocking the fridge with some basic groceries?
Another great idea. That way, guests don't have to rush to the store the moment they arrive.
Or if their flight gets in late and nothing's open. These are all such simple yet thoughtful gestures. It's really not that hard to do.
And that's the point. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. It's about thinking ahead, anticipating what your guests might need.
What about something fun, like a little activity or something?
The guide actually mentioned offering complimentary bicycles for guests to explore the local area.
Oh, I love that. It's a fun, healthy way to experience Phuket. Okay, so we've got the warm welcome down. What about once they're settled in?
Be available. That's huge.
So if they have a question about the villa or they need restaurant recommendations.
Respond quickly and be helpful. Even if it's something you don't know off the top of your head, take the time to look it up for them.
It's about going above and beyond, making them feel like you're there to help, even if you're on the other side of the world.
Exactly. And that level of care, it really does make a difference. Happy guests leave good reviews. They recommend you to their friends. They might even come back again.
So by focusing on those two things, maximizing your rental income and making sure your guests have an unforgettable experience.
You create a win-win situation. Your villa becomes a dream come true, but also a smart and successful business.
This is amazing. We've covered so much ground. Finding the right team, the legal stuff, marketing, guest services. I feel like we've created the ultimate guide to stress-free villa ownership.
I know, right? It's not as daunting as it seems when you break it down like this.
Exactly. And for those of you listening, remember this. Owning a villa in paradise, it doesn't have to be a headache. With the right approach, it can be an incredibly rewarding experience, both personally and financially.
So, what's one small step you can take today to make managing your Phuket villa feel just a little bit easier?
It really is about changing your whole approach, isn't it?
Totally. It's almost like instead of just checking boxes, okay, gotta do this, gotta find that, you shift your thinking.
To what? Give me the Zen version.
Think of it like this. If you're always micromanaging, worried about every little detail, every potential problem, that's exhausting.
Talk about sucking the joy out of paradise. What's the point of owning a villa if it's just another source of stress?
Exactly. And that's where I think the guide's advice about trusting your team comes in. You've done the work, you've found these amazing people, let them do their thing.
That's always been my struggle, though. Letting go of control. How do I know when to step in, when to maybe, question something?
Good question. The guide stresses communication a lot. Not micromanaging, but regular check-ins. That way you stay informed, can address any potential issues before they become actual issues.
So it's finding that balance. Staying involved, but not being a control freak about it.
Exactly. And that actually ties into another big theme in the guide, being proactive.
We talked about that with preventative maintenance, right?
Yeah. But it
Uh-huh.
goes beyond just the physical property. Think about your guests, what they might need. Let's say your villa is popular with families.
Okay.
Instead of waiting for someone to ask, have high chairs, cribs, all that ready to go as standard.
It's those little things that make such a difference. Like, wow, they've really thought of everything.
Exactly. Or imagine this. You keep seeing guests rave about this one cooking school nearby. What do?
I'm guessing you don't just say, oh, yeah, that place is great.
You reach out to the cooking school, you strike up a partnership, offer your guests a discount package, something unique.
So you're not just recommending, you're adding value to the whole experience.
Precisely. And all of this, it doesn't have to be something you're figuring out from scratch. The guide is big on using technology to streamline things.
Yeah, those property management platforms we talked about before.
Those are your best friend here. Automate booking confirmations, payment processing, even things like generating financial reports. Let the software do the heavy lifting.
Well, you're off enjoying yourself, I hope.
Exactly. The less you have to think about when you're supposed to be relaxing, the better.
I am all about that. But I think what I'm realizing is that even more important than any of the specific tips, it's this mental shift the guide talks about, right?
Absolutely. It's about reframing how you view the whole thing. This isn't work. This is...
An adventure.
Exactly. It's about opportunity. Remember why you fell in love with Phuket in the first place. Those sunsets, the beaches.
Sipping cocktails by my own private pool.
Exactly. Hold on to that feeling. When you're genuinely excited about sharing that experience with others, the rest of it, the management side, it becomes less daunting.
It becomes a joy, not a chore. I love that. Well, I feel like we could talk about this all day, but unfortunately, we are out of time. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive, though. We've covered so much ground, from the practicalities of finding the right team to the mindset shifts that can truly transform this journey.
We really have. It's amazing how much there is to learn when you really start digging into a topic.
Isn't it, though? And for everyone listening, remember, owning a villa in paradise doesn't have to be stressful. With the right approach, it can be incredibly rewarding, both personally and financially. So as you embark on this exciting adventure, ask yourself, what's one small step you can take today to make managing your Phuket villa just a little bit more effortless? Until next time, happy exploring.